going on, YouTube? It is November 10th, 2025, 7:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wow. Metals are on fire again. And we have a lot to go over. There's a lot of things going on that I'm very concerned about. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Do your own research, form your own opinions. Let's start with the prices. Gold, 41.45.65 an ounce, up 28.10. Silver, 50.91, almost 51 bucks an ounce, man. Up 31 cents. Platinum, 15.91.98, 11.23 up for the day. Palladium, 14.58.50, 21.45 up for the day. Gold to silver ratio, 81.43. So 81.43 ounces of silver will buy you an ounce of gold. So I put a question in my community tab asking what people thought the Fed's change, monetary change, policy change would do for metals. Would it be good or bad? So the Fed is pretty much ending quantitative tightening, and anybody can see that we're headed back toward quantitative easing, which means printing cash, injecting cash into the markets, coupled with talks of a $2,000 stimulus check, which, you know, we're always hearing that, so we'll see. But my question is this: if metals have done as well as they have, and stocks and a lot of other assets, if a lot of assets have been inflated, I'm not saying metals are inflated, they actually may be underinflated, but if a lot of these other assets have performed the way they have, and metals have performed the way they have, under a Fed that has been, I don't want to say tight, but not loose with interest rates, what do y'all think is going to happen when quantitative easing starts again? What the Fed should be doing now, in my opinion, again, not financial advice, is hiking rates. We have an inflation problem, and it's very inflammatory for the dollar. Now, if we roll out $2,000 stimmy checks, you'd think we'd learn our lesson by now with all that. And I get it. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people need help. You know, but the price that we pay today and the future generations pay for our monetary policies they seem to be ignored. They really do. 50-year mortgages are being talked about. And I understand housing is very, very expensive to get into. It's asinine. 50-year mortgage, think about that. That's a terrible idea. I hope people don't fall for that. That is the epitome of you will own nothing and be happy, because think about this. If you get a 50-year mortgage as opposed to a 15 or a 30, you're basically going to be paying for something that's going to take you forever and a day to build any equity with, because most of your payments are going to be interest payments. All you're doing is paying down the interest. That's it. Paying the interest. Not paying down the principal for years. And are the banks going to loan people money to buy a house when they're 40 years old on a 50-year mortgage? How many people live till 90? This is weird. I think it's a horrible idea. There has to be a better way to get people into houses. You know, for years that was the American dream, you know, buy a house, pay it off. A lot of people just, A, don't want to take that course anymore, and B, just can't afford it. And I get it. I rent, and I invest the difference in gold, silver, stocks, assets, you name it, because it's cheaper for me to do so. Now, if you were one of those people, that was fortunate to get locked in when times were good and have a low payment and had a massive amount down, you're in good shape, man. those days are over, I feel. And stringing out a payment for 50 years is definitely not the answer. So I hope people don't fall for that. If it comes to fruition, that's just a bad, bad, bad idea. And if people are struggling now, the reality is, if you can't afford to buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, which a lot of people can't, you can't afford to buy a house with a 50-year mortgage. You got no business buying a house. You're just extending the length of time you're paying, and in the long run, it's going to cost you a lot more money. So if you could take a moment to hit the like, hit the subscribe, drop a comment, show some love so I know you're here, that would be appreciated. If metals and other assets have done as well as they have now, it's kind of scary to think about how they might perform with money printing again. It's just, I think we're going down the wrong path. I really do. I think things need to be tightened. That's just my humble opinion. Now, what does that mean for us stackers? Does that mean we back the truck up now if we have the cash, seeing that this is coming? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it won't do what we all think it's going to do. Markets have been so weird lately. Who knows? I'll tell you one thing I am going to do. I'm always going to buy metal. I hope you all know that by now. And I'll probably buy a little bit more. I'll probably increase my buying as this unfolds. In fact, I'm pretty certain that's going to be the case. But I'm also going to take advantage in other investment classes, because when liquidity hits markets, like take a stock for instance, a quality ETF with a good dividend, liquidity hits those markets, there's a lot of buying, and when there's a lot of buying, those assets become inflated and they go up in value. So I will definitely be jumping on that train, and I already am. I invest in the market pretty much daily. In fact, I got more metals on the way, by the way. Nothing, actually, I'm not going to say nothing spectacular, nothing cool, because it's metal, first of all. I do have one piece coming, and I have one or two or three or four others like it. I don't really remember. I know I have at least one. And I'm not going to stack these per se. I'd like to. And I got a really good deal for what it is. And it won't be here for a while because I did e-check and I did it yesterday, which was Sunday, and then tomorrow's Veterans Day, so it's going to take forever to clear. But I'm going to get a few more, at least. I don't know if I want to go a whole tube, just because they're a little more spendy, but I do love these. Pretty much everyone loves these. So that'll be coming soon. I'm excited to open that bad boy up. And I'm excited to add some more metals to the stack. Probably the next week or so. I'll probably make another order, depending on how things go. Assets are king, people. You have cash rich, paper rich, and you have asset wealth. For me, assets are king. I like, and make no mistake, a stock is an asset, real estate is an asset, metals are an asset. So when I say assets, obviously my favorite thing in the world is silver. After that, we're talking gold and platinum. But those aren't the only assets that I partake in. I'm pretty diversified. I think it's important to have a base stack, a healthy base stack, before risks are taken. And there's risks with metals, sure. But before bigger risks are taken, I think there should be a fundamental, baseline stack. And I think that stack should always grow. There is no stacking goal for me. There is no, once I hit this, I'm done. Once I hit this, I want more. That's my goal. It's more. So I think it's really important to have that safety net, though. And that safety net should get bigger and bigger as time goes on, in my opinion. Again, no stacking goal. That being said, again, if you can hit that like, that subscribe, drop a comment so I know you're here, show some love. Remember, this is not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball. I do see patterns. I do see things. I'm a little concerned about certain things. Not as much for me, but for the average person just trying to skate by, which I am, by the way, but I'm an average person trying to skate by with a little bit more going on, I guess, than most. Not where I want to be. I'll never be where I want to be, which keeps me attaining or striving to attain more. That being said, keep stacking.